Hello. Today I'd like to take a look at a red wine from Bordeaux. This particular wine is from the Grape region. This is Chateau de Chantegrive. And Chantegrive is located in a place called Podensac, which is, I guess, pretty much in the middle of the Grape region. The Grape region sort of lies between the city of Bordeaux, where its more prestigious estates are in the Pessac-Léognan sub-region, and Langon further southwest. Chantegrive is about 30 kilometres from the middle of town, and sits just north of Sauternes and the vineyards of Sauternes and Barsac. And the Sauternes and Barsac appellations also sit within the Grape region. The vineyards here are about a kilometre south of the Garonne river. In my opinion, for several years now, Chateau de Chantegrive has been producing very consistent, great value red and white wines. The estate's family owned, and it was founded in 1966 by husband and wife Henri and Françoise Lévêque. Initially they bought just 2 hectares, and that was purchased as a result of the sale of a stamp collection, so it must have been quite a valuable stamp collection. The estate currently comprises 96 hectares. And the family have invested seriously in the development of the property, building large modern cellars, and since 2006 they've engaged Hubert de Bois, winemaker of Chateau Angelus, as their consultant winemaker. Unfortunately, in 2009 Henri passed away, and today Francois remains at the chateau, but the management of the estate is principally done by her daughter Marie-Hélène and her 4 siblings. The estate is divided up into no less than 160 plots. Soil types here are sandy gravels over clay and limestone subsoils. Plantings are roughly 2/3 red to 1/3 white, and the average vine age is a very respectable 40 years, ensuring good fruit concentration. The family have been working to make their wine growing more sustainable, and the year after this wine was made, in 2017, the estate was certified as HEV3. So that's a certification of its high environmental value, it's the sustainability of the way it's farmed. So to have achieved this certification in 2017, those sustainability principles must have been in place in 2016 as well. 2016 is generally viewed as an excellent vintage. It started off wet and quite cold, but actually the rain ensured that there were good reserves of water in the soils for when it got hot later. A wet winter led on into a wet spring, and budburst was slow. A sunny June ensured successful flowering, and the following hot, dry summer resulted in concentrated wines with soft acidities. Generally, however, the nights were cool, and that helped retain some of the freshness and aromatics for the wines. Now, in 2016, this wine was a blend of 50% Cabernet Sauvignon and 50% Merlot. The fruit was machine harvested. Once it had been destemmed and crushed, it was left for a few days at cool temperature to soak, and that enabled a gentle extraction of colours and perfumes before fermentation started and conditions became warmer and alcohol started developing, in which case extraction becomes a little more harsh. Fermentation took place in temperature controlled stainless steel tanks, and skin contact went on for a period of 3 to 4 weeks depending on the lot. Following malolactic conversion, the wine aged for a year in French oak barriques prior to bottling, and 50% of those barrels were new French oak. So I am expecting a fair amount of oakiness in the wine's nature. So let's have a look at it, shall we? As a first impression, the wine has a deep, dark, ruby colour. There's a bricky red. I can just about make out the stem of the glass as I look down through the wine, but it's close to being opaque. The wine has 13.5% alcohol, and it's quite slow to form tears on the side of the glass. I can see some touches of sediment in this sample. Unfortunately, my sample is from the bottom of the bottle following an earlier tasting. So let's have a look at the aroma, shall we? The aromas are ripe and warm. There's a richness, there are some raisin top notes, there are hints of development, prune, forest floor. There's quite a ripe, plummy fruit, and there are some notes of sweet spice, cinnamon, nutmeg. There are also touches of graphite and cedar. However, those spices, the oak notes, are actually quite well integrated with this fruit. The fruit has a richness almost heading towards a licorishiness. Let's have a taste. The palate has quite a fresh acidity before you get to rich, concentrated, ripe red fruit and quite smooth tannins. The red fruit nature is ripe plum through to prune. Again, you've got slight hints of raisin. And then following that, almost like sort of rum and raisin, you've got notes of vanilla, cedar, those sweet spices. And then I'm feeling a little bit of drying grip on the back palate. In general though, the tannins are smooth, ripe, supple and rounded. But I'm finishing up with concentrated notes of dark black plum, licorice, and then also developed forest floor notes. Finish is where the structure shows, and so there's a drying note. The alcohol seems quite balanced, the finish is ripe and there is a little warmth there, but it doesn't feel hot and overly alcoholic. If anything, really, it's a question that the softness of the acidity is allowing the fruit to dominate the finish. The finish has reasonable length. There's intensity, there's generosity. It's a rich, accessible wine. It's just over 10 years old. I think it's probably drinking nicely now. It has the concentration probably to last 5 years or more, but it doesn't need further age. The wine's smoothness and a multi-layered palette of developed aromas suggest to me that now is a good time to be drinking this, though I'm not suggesting there's any hurry to drink it up. It's rich and it's ripe. It's high-toned aromas of developed aromas, but it's not particularly showing delicacy or high-toned red perfume. Now, the Wine Searcher aggregated critic score for this is 89 out of 100, and I'm pretty much in agreement with that. The wine has good density, good complexity. For it to have scored higher, I think it would have needed slightly more freshness. But it's definitely a wine I'm enjoying drinking. So thank you so much for joining us. I do hope you found the tasting of interest. If you have, we'd be very grateful if you'd press the like button. That would be fantastic. If you feel like watching more of these videos, it would be great if you considered subscribing to our channel, and that way you can also set yourself an alert and be notified every time we publish a new video. I will leave a link in the notes below to the Wine Searcher webpage for this vintage of this wine, and that way you can find out if it's available near you and what the price is, and you can use the tabs on that page to find a whole host of other information about this wine. If you have any comments you'd like to leave, please pop those in the comments box below. We would genuinely be interested in hearing your feedback about the tastings we're doing, the wines we're looking at, or anything else that relates to that. If you have any friends you think might like to watch the video, we'd be very grateful if you'd pass it on to them. That would be fantastic. So thank you again so much for joining us, and I do hope that you'll manage to make some time in the near future to come and join us for another tasting. Until then, goodbye.